From a Transformation Ultra concept to figuring out which characters would fit in a COD Zombies NASCAR team, folks, ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a talkative episode here. The first episode of a brand new show, That One Podcast. I'm your host, James. Without further ado, let's start getting into it, I reckon. Again, with this being a first episode, I'm probably going to end up making a bunch of mistakes, but I'm going to try to be as professional as I can. I am starting at very, very low, a phone in my bedroom, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about quite a few things. We're going to start with Dragon Ball Legends, though, as they have just released two new units, Legend Rarity, which for the sake of having to pronounce it, I'm just going to say LR for short. LR Future Trunks, Future Gohan Tag, and a LR Super Saiyan God Shillette. Two units that I didn't expect, especially with how they teased it. They teased it as if we were getting maybe an Orange Piccolo with a teaser that they made of a tree, which the recurring joke in my mind is the Lion King in Dragon Ball Legends. But anyway, we got what we got. I'm not complaining personally. I think it's good character choices. Definitely unexpected. I didn't see that coming. Now, I'm sure people did guess it and did get it right. It flew way over my mind. My mind was, we're getting an Orange Piccolo, Beast Gohan, some sort, tag. A tag Orange Piccolo, Beast Gohan, or something like that. But, I don't know. But again, I'm not complaining with what we got. I think they're going to be two good units. Hopefully, they're able to stop the toxicity of Ultra, Gogeta Blue, and the triple transformation LR Broly, which is something I also want to get into for a little bit. But, I mean, with these two, where do we begin? A Game Originals units, and we haven't, and for the first one, the Trunks and Gohan, we haven't had a Game Original, tag unit like this since, for 2 or 3 years with, what was it, Goku Bardock tag, and that's been quite a while. That one didn't really excite me as much as this one does, but then again, it's, Trunks and Gohan. But, just, I don't know. It's just a lot in my mind, thinking about it. We've went 3 years without a Game Original tag unit, and here we are with one now. And so it's just, I don't know, it just wows me still. What also shocked me a lot more, and I didn't expect at all, was a campaign character with the Super Saiyan God Shillette. I expected, the way that the video was looking was maybe Shallot was going to get a rarity, or Shallot, not Shallot, Shallot, however you pronounce the name, the main protagonist's name of Dragon Ball Legends. I was thinking he was going to get, a transformation. No, not at all. And it being just the fusion, which I'm not complaining. I mean, it's a step in a new direction in my mind, going for something that no one would expect you to go to. Now, sure, I'm sure people were thinking it was going to be a campaign, story mode character. I thought about it, but it was just one of those lower thoughts. I was thinking more of Orange Piccolo, Beast Gohan, one of those two correlates, superhero. Of course, we got, New Pan, so I was knocking on a little bit of that tree, but I just didn't get the full thing. I'm sure we might get something superhero later on, but two new units, two good-looking units. Yeah, that's about it. All I got for that one. Their arts look cool, and with them being legend, something I'm starting to like about these Legend Rarity characters is how if you can get multiple copies of them, their background changes. To me, that's cool. I think I like the Shallot one, the Shallot one more than the other one, than the Trunks and Gohan. It's just, that the color scheme on it, with the silhouette of the character in black in the background on that third look, looks phenomenal. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on. That's it for the new units. I've got the summon for them. I have not tried the Gohan Trunks yet. Gohan Trunks yet. I have not tried that one. I have, however, tried the Shallot one, Super Saiyan God Shallot. Got it, literally, no joke, second try on step 2 of first rotation. I went last night saving up CC, because I was originally going for the Ultra Gogeta Blue. That way I could actually have a team that would actually start winning games in PvP. I'm not as interested in that unit no more. I mean, it looks cool, it's an Ultra Gogeta Blue. We already have one, but the new one looks nice. It has some cool things. But I don't know, something about the Shallot made me want it a lot more. I don't know, it might be the color. I'm a huge fan of the color red, and what they done to make this character stand out to me was awesome. It's kind of like how they done with Goku Black, the Ultra Goku Black in my mind. But I don't know. And anyway, for the future of Dragon Ball Legends, I had been cooking up some ideas that they could try doing if they're going to stick to doing new things with this, especially with this LR rarity. We've already seen, them do something brand new with their LR Broly, having 3 transformations instead of 2. Now that we know that it's possible for them to code in and do more than one transformation, it's been opening up my mind a lot more ideas, especially with, fusion and transformations and ultras. Those been my main 3. Here in my notes, I have some ideas. This first one, reading off, I wrote transforming ultra, which, just think about it. Imagine fighting an ultra, base Goku. As you're fighting it, all of a sudden, out of just nowhere, it transforms into, I don't know, Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue. Now, sure, it'd probably be difficult as hell. I'm sure an ultra that would sound a little bit annoying would be probably a Revive Ultra. I'm sure we have one. I don't think we do. But just thinking about it sounds annoying, but the transformation one sounds cool to a certain extent. But yeah, or you're fighting UI sign Goku Ultra, and all of a sudden he transforms into MUI or something. I don't know. But going down this list furthermore, I have a fusion transformation that I wrote down, and I wrote an example of Goku Black and Zamasu if they were a tag. So tag Goku Black and Zamasu, and if they were to merge into Fuse Zamasu, the non-corrupt. So I took a consideration of this from the units, from 2 different units. The Goku and Vegeta, first time we ever saw a unit merge or fuse into Gogeta or Vegeta before. And then, this new Broly that has 3 transformations. I've kind of mixed those together with Goku Black and Zamasu in my mind, to where, it starts off as a tag unit. It merges into one unit, and it's got two more transformations. It's got its normal Fuse Zamasu look with the white hair and no corruption anywhere. And then after a gauge fills up or something, some legends would come up with, you transform and it's partial corrupt Zamasu, where he's turning a little purple. And then it does one more transformation where it's either 3/4 corrupt or completely corrupt. Something I was also thinking about was if, say you're fighting an opponent, you're fighting this unit, this fused Zamasu or something. If every time it got damaged, depending on where its health bar was at, depended on like a heal card, like a green card you could click, and it would heal up that character, but it would change the look of it. So like, you would get, pure looking white hair fused Zamasu. He gets beat up by, I don't know, Ultra Vigil Blue. Well, he hits his green card, heals up, but also has some corruption looking, thing to it, to where it ends up being full corrupt Zamasu. That would sound cool. And now remember, this is all just me imagining units that Dragon Ball Legends could make, or should heavily consider making if they haven't thought about it. That's been mostly the 2 that I wrote down. With the 3 that I wrote down was the Transformation Ultra, and then the Fuse Transformation. The Fuse Transformation one I thought was really cool. Because, like, how cool would it sound having a tag unit fuse, and then that fusion transforms more than once? And we know they can do this. We've seen an example of them doing pretty much this exact thing, but with separate units. We've seen them have a unit that can merge or fuse, and then a unit that can transform more than once. And I've done giving you all the, said the example. But, I don't know. That's all I got for my Dragon Ball Legends cool character thing. I've thought about it for the past week, doing notes. I'm not good at thinking on the same thing much, so I'm like, when I have something wrote, I try to stick with it as best as I can. Anyway, moving on to the next segment here. I've been thinking about this for a whole while, and I don't know what the answer is to this, and I kind of need help with this. If y'all think y'all would have a good answer and a reason why. But I wrote, which COD Zombies map would work as a fire station? Now, I wrote this as a listener comments thing, and apparently I wrote rules. Has to be a building, can't be a whole city, can be a particular building in a city, however. So, I think what I wrote there, what I was thinking was saying, like, you can't say City of Evil would work as a fire station, because, City of Evil is a whole city, but maybe there's this one building, or, the Fight Club there in City of Evil that looks like would work as a fire station, or something, or, like, instead of saying, I don't know, that was my main thing, but I can't figure out which COD Zombies map would work as a fire station. I've thought about, the DE, either DE maybe is a possibility, but that's a big ass castle, and I don't know how you could get fire trucks in a castle. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but I don't know. But I was also thinking maybe, the Giant as a choice, maybe. Obviously, might not be the best option. I'm sure there are better options, which, if there is, let me know in the comments. I'll read the comments, respond next episode, see what y'all think on it. But yeah, for those of you wanting to respond, here's the question again. Which COD Zombies map would work as a fire station? The rule is, has to be a building, cannot be a whole city, can be a particular building in that city. And an example for that is, you can't say City of Evil, but you can say a specific building in City of Evil might work. Yeah, we're on time. We're doing good on time. So, but yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while. Can't figure out an answer. Like, in my notes, I don't even have an answer. I have an answer mark, but I just have listener comments. So I might have y'all answer it and have a collective, decision on what it is, what the answer would be. But I have one more segment. Our last segment might be a bit of the longer one. I don't know. The legend segment was kind of long, but I imagine this. Close your eyes. NASCAR COD Zombies. All right. Now in NASCAR, for a team, you have to have a set of characters and a set of roles, and everyone has to do a good job in that role. You know, I wrote down in the NASCAR team, for the COD Zombies NASCAR team, you're going to need a crew chief, you're going to need 4 tire changers, you're going to need a gas carrier that delivers the gas jug from the pit wall to the car, puts fuel in the car. I got the jack man that lifts up the car. I have the driver that drives the race car, and I have a spotter that avoids wrecking. That tells the driver if he's clear or not, if he can do stuff. Not crash. Now I have what is it? Tire changers. You need guys that can change tires. They can work fast and change tires. So the way I have this set up is I cannot have duplicates of the same character in the same role. And so for the example, say for the tire changer, I cannot say, all three Nikolai, all three versions of Nikolai, Primus, Ultimus, and the Dark Ether Nikolai as tire changers. I can't do that. I can have those characters on the team, but each one to a different role. I can't have them all in one role. But to start off with, I don't have a name for this team. Y'all can name it. Right now it's just COD Zombies NASCAR team. Y'all can name that. Anything. Best comment wins it, I guess. But for your crew chief, you need a guy that can actually lead that can lead the team to victory, that can lead your driver, make decisions that other members in the NASCAR team can't make. And why not then have somebody that's already led a bigger team before, JFK, as the crew chief for our COD Zombies NASCAR team. I thought it was a terrific pick in my mind. Best, Trump would probably tell you it's a good pick. But then we got our tire changers, and I don't think I was ever able to find a 4th tire changer. I think I wrote down 3. 3 or 2. Hold up. 4 tire changers. Okay. So I got Floyd Campbell, Young Nikolai, Bruno, the Bruno guy from the Chaos Story, the big muscular guy. And then I got, I don't know why I wrote this, Young Dempsey. But so, I get Primus and Ultimus a little bit confused. I think I'm talking about Primus Dempsey, from Origins to Revelations Dempsey as the tire changers, which, thinking behind it is, your tire changers need to be strong to be able to lift up a whole ass tire from a car over a wall, and then from a wall to a car, along with being able to, quickly screw and unscrew the lug nuts, which is where I think Dempsey would come in and Nikolai would come in, for they were both in a war, they were both in World War II. They might be able to have fast trigger fingers, fast response times, and then you got Floyd Campbell and Bruno, who are strong. Floyd was a fighter. He fought, illegally won his matches, but I don't think you can cheat picking up a tire. You can't take brass knuckles to a tire the same way he did to a fight. And then Bruno, again, just a very muscular, strong man. I think he'd be able to lift up a tire with one hand. No problem. And then who else we got? We got the Gas Man, which I wrote, you need another strong guy that's going to be there, but also somebody that, wouldn't mind putting gas in a car. And y'all probably wouldn't think of this pick. I didn't think of it either, and I still can't figure out why I wrote it. remember, I haven't looked at these notes in like a week. The only thing I'd done or added to these notes was the Dragon Ball Legends segment. But for our COD Zombies NASCAR crew team, our our Gas Man, being the Machete Man from Call of the Dead, which I'm looking up his name right now because I know it, the face. I can't think of for the life of me what the name of him is. Hang on. But knowing who I'm talking, if you know who I'm talking about, it's the Machete Man from Call of the Dead. Call of the Dead crew. They're all voiced on actors, so let's see here. Okay, so the crew we have Danny Trejo, which I believe is who I'm thinking of as the Machete Man. Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo. I'm thinking of him, the Machete Man, as our gas man for the NASCAR COD Zombies team. Why not? Why not? It's just a why not thing. It'd be kind of hilarious. But moving on, we have our driver. Our driver. Now our driver, needs to be somebody that can have a face and a look and a voice that doesn't have to mean anything out on track, but has to mean a lot out on the public scene. NASCAR now is really big on social media and interviews and podcasts and whatnot. And you're going to need a driver that's, nice looking and big on the social scene, which is why I have Diego Nicali from the Chaos crew. I don't know how he is driving cars. He could be terrible. He could crash every week of the NASCAR season and never get a top 30 in his career. And yet he would probably be one of the most liked drivers based on looks. Could be. I don't know. There are some NASCAR drivers that look good but can't drive. And there are some drivers that can drive and look good. And so it's just, it's a pick and choose. Which is why I chose Diego Nicali as our driver for the COD Zombies NASCAR team. Now, the next role is our Jackman. You need a guy that's going to be able to pick up a car, to put a jack under a car, or hell, even pick up a car. I don't think this character would need a jack. He could just basically pick it up himself. And that is Dr. Monty. Now, why that specific character for that specific job? Again, with Danny Trejo's Gas Man. Why not? Dr. Monty has powers. He could easily pick up a car. He could easily pick up the race car while the tire changers and tire carriers get to work on the car. And he could set the car back down as Danny Trejo comes by with a gas can. And so, yeah, it's one of those things I thought up in my mind. I was just laughing about it, thinking about how funny it would be seeing Dr. Monty as the Jackman for our NASCAR pit crew team. Now, there is one more role that I have not mentioned yet. I was waiting until the end for it because why not? I don't know. It's the last thing on my list, and that is the spotter. Now, the spotter is one of the most important jobs, just like all these other roles in a NASCAR team. The spotter has to stand on a stand way above the racetrack and look down for his driver's car, for his team's car, and if there's a wreck, avoid that driver from wrecking. This character has to avoid Diego Nicali from wrecking if there's a wreck, unless he causes a wreck himself. Or, if Diego's driving 3 wide, gotta tell him when he's clear to go either down the track or up the track, or else he'll wreck. Why not? Then a Cold War character. I don't know his official name, but I know I've always called him Raptor 1, the helicopter guy from Cold War Zombies. If you know him, you know him. If you know, you know him. Raptor 1 as a spotter. Hell, he's flown helicopters. He's used to seeing high up in the sky, looking down at his team. I don't think he'd have an issue being a NASCAR spotter. And not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind listening to Raptor 1 as a spotter. I mean, just imagine that voice telling you whether you can go up a racetrack or down a racetrack. It's just, I think it's one of those picks. It's like that JFK pick for the crew chief. You need a guy that can lead the team. We need a guy that can also be a good spotter. But with that, that's all in my notes. Yeah, I believe that is gonna do it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. This is a first ever episode of a brand new podcast. I'm having high hopes for this podcast. I plan on. I don't know when the next one will be. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do consistent, but I'm going to try to do as best as I can to get a new episode out at least every month, if not maybe twice a month, 2 or 3 times a month maybe. But if not, at least there will be a new episode once a month. Once I have a lot more time and free time on me, maybe there will be more episodes, more things to talk about. But yeah, I think I got all the main stuff I wanted to talk about for this podcast out of the way though. Got the zombies question, the NASCAR team, Dragon Ball Legends, the new characters, and ideas I've made, and my thoughts on the 2 new characters. I don't plan on going into deep detail with the new units. I don't know them that much. I couldn't tell you, what their kit is or nothing. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I think that's going to have it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Have a good day, good night, wherever you are, wherever you're from, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, see you later.